Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host Lex, and I'm once again joined by my guest host,
Chris Boudreau again, and maybe forever.
Maybe forever. We are a video game news podcast broadcasting live Fridays 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on chipbit.net, also twitch.tv/DCTF podcast. We can be found on all sorts of social media by searching DCTF podcast or Don't Copy That Floppy podcast. You can pretty much find us wherever.
MySpace. Mixler.
Yeah, MySpace, especially MySpace.
Yeah.
Of all the places, that's where we're strongest, I think, because that's obviously.
What about LiveJournal?
Well, you know, there's a little lot. We don't update it as frequently as we should, but there is a profile. So
Okay.
Yeah. This week we have an interesting smattering of shorter, sillier stories to talk about. A lot of updates on stuff that we've talked about in the past. So we're going to be talking a lot about the SNES Classic and the drama surrounding it. We're going to be talking, giving an update on those UK sales charts. Also, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and GTA are butting heads a little bit. A little bit more about the Olympics and esports being at them. Some new news about Destiny 2's open beta. And perhaps a story about the Miiverse and a story about translucent controllers making a comeback. And then, then the last story we're going to be doing is going to be about Bethesda's Creation Club. That's a hot button issue. And we're going to hopefully end out the show with video games that have just been released and video games that are going to be released soon.
Oh, excuse you.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
Too much sauce.
Too much. Listen, I've been eating a lot of sauce lately. This isn't some sort of euphemism for alcohol. I mean, I've literally been cooking up like a lot of sesame chicken sauce and shrimp scampi sauce. I've just been eating sauce, all right?
Yeah. We can save that for the sauce cast.
This is how I want to live my life. Don't judge me.
Hey man, I'm all about it. I'm all about you eating as much sauce as you can handle.
But yeah, so let's jump right into the SNES Classic edition. So, last year, Nintendo put out the NES Classic, and they had some problems with that, most notably that it sold out horrendously quickly because it became a very hot item for people to buy.
Sure was.
So, when they announced they were going to do the SNES Classic, everyone got very excited for that, and they said, hey, Nintendo, we really want to buy this from you. Is there any way you could, like, produce enough of them that they don't immediately sell out? And Nintendo said, yes, definitely. We're going to fix those problems because we know how much this is going to sell. And Nintendo proceeded to not do that. Yep. So we are in the exact same place we were last year, except slightly worse. Because when the SNES Classic came out, Nintendo had never done anything like that before. So it was more of a surprise hit, I think, sort of.
Yeah.
Whereas the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, everyone was excited and amped for it, and based off how excited and amped they had been off first one, so like demand was even higher. Though it's hard to quantify just how much higher because just as few people could get it. There's an article that talks a little bit about this in Forbes magazine, or Forbes magazine's website, from August 23rd, and it's pretty much just this author Paul Tassi venting about how upset he is with Nintendo. And he's justified in being upset with Nintendo. But
he definitely is venting. It's a wall of text.
Yes. But some of the main points that I want to just highlight that he brings up in this are how instantaneously the SNES Classic sold out. It wasn't that they just sold out quickly. It was that they sold out almost instantaneously.
Yeah, that's true.
These pre-orders, because this hasn't come out yet, but these pre-orders went up on retailers' websites at 3 a.m. at night. And there are videos and still images of people trying to order this, and literally, like, it goes up on sale at, at 3 a.m. they know that it's going to go on sale at 3 a.m. somehow, and add it to their cart, and then go to check out at 3:01 or 3:02, and it won't let them check out because they're already sold out of the item.
Yeah, you had to have been a professional Diablo 2 player to get one of these. You got to get your APM had to be high.
So, and this is it's really stupid on Nintendo's part.
Is it, though?
Well, that's the thing, right? So we talk about how obviously you could sell more of these, and you could sell like a magnitude more of these because of how much demand there is for them. So if Nintendo just doubled or tripled their production of this as compared to what they were going to produce or what the NES Classic produced, they would still sell out, but they would sell out in like maybe a couple of hours or something.
Yeah.
And then people would be bummed about it, but they wouldn't be like rip shit angry about it.
Rip shit. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. It's what Nintendo always does, which is it's artificial supply constraint, right? They're like, oh, so look at us. We I guess we just can't produce enough of them. Oh, I'm so sorry. But they know exactly what they're doing because they know that this even they did this all the way back to like the original SNES, I think. And they've done it time and time again. And even in today's world where the internet exists, it still gets the news. It still gets pieces like this. It still gets on like ABC and CNN or not CNN, but like, the morning shows and shit. It still gets on there, and people still say the hottest item of the year, the Nintendo console that no one can get and kids want for this holiday season. Like, and it always makes news. And they know that it just the bigger the hype, the more people want one.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
And I get that
because. Like, unlike perhaps, like, they do that too with the Switch. I know that there was some kind of ancillary stuff there with, like, they were competing with, like, Apple perhaps for screens and stuff like that with the Switch. But as this guy says, there's nothing in here that I don't believe it's not just a tiny piece of plastic with a tiny ROM chip in it and some controllers. Like, this cannot be difficult to process or manufacture, rather.
I brought up this argument before. I bring it up a lot when we talk about pre-order culture and a lot of stuff surrounding AAA titles. But I think it's applicable here too, that there's only my blame for the company that produces it only goes so far. Mm-hmm. Because they did this with the NES Classic and everybody ate it up. And then we know that they do stuff like this, so people should have expected them to do it with the SNES Classic, and yet customers are eating it up again.
Yeah.
So the surefire way to make Nintendo change these business practices is to not buy into them.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that's, I think, the only thing that will work. So there's a and add to that the fact that this is something you can emulate on your phone, like, and you've been able to do that for like a decade.
This is something you could probably emulate on like a toaster nowadays.
Yeah.
Not difficult stuff.
One of those Texas Instruments calculators, those super advanced calculators, you can probably emulate it on that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So it's not like it's hard to play all of the classic Super Nintendo or Nintendo system games.
Yeah. As long as you own the cartridge.
As long as you own the cartridge, everybody.
Quote, unquote.
Yes.
And don't we all own the entire SNES library on cart? Mm-hmm. I know I do.
Mm-hmm. It still annoys me because I'm like, for most gamers, there shouldn't be a reason for them to be tripping over each other to get this console. Especially a lot of the people I know who want to get this are people I know are fully capable of running an emulator, like installing it and running it easily. Like, I would have more sympathy for the grandparents buying this for their grandkids for a birthday gift. Or just kids trying to get this in general who are, like 8 years old, because they don't know how to freaking install an emulator on their iPhone, but they do have an iPhone. Let's put that out there.
Totally, which is a scary thought these days.
But no, I know a lot of people who are in your and I age range, and they are like, "Oh, I've got to get this console. It's so hard to get. I got to get it." And I'm like, "Why?
Right.
You could easily play all these games in like a half an hour if you want to.
Yeah.
Why do you want this console? I don't understand.
I thought the funniest thing was that they're like the never before released Star Fox 2, and I'm like, I've played it. It's not that great. Like,
No, it's not that great. They didn't
really
need to release it. It's fine.
No, they didn't. But I honestly, I think that like it's I completely agree with you. The only people, I do feel bad for maybe people that are around our age who have kids, and they're like, oh, I kind of want to like relive I don't have my Super Nintendo anymore, and I kind of want to play with my kids, and kind of relive the old days and shit like that. I feel bad for them not being able to get it. But if you're just like a single person, you're completely right. Just fucking go to MU Paradise and get a SNES 9X and some ROMs. You'll be fine.
Oh, I always thought it was supposed to be pronounced Emu Paradise.
Oh.
That's what I loved about it. That it was like
because it's emulation, not emulation.
I know, but I thought it was like a play on that. They could have a little emu mascot. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh,
that would be great. You can still get Nesticle on there.
So the one person or the one group of people who is greatly benefiting from this whole ridiculous shortage stuff of the SNES Classic are not. I mean, part of them are Nintendo, sort of, but I don't actually think Nintendo's gaining that much from this. I think in the end they generate more ill will than they want. But I think the people who are really gaining from this are scalpers.
Yes.
The people. Yes, the people who have bots in place to go to these websites as soon as these things go on sale at 3 a.m. and buy as many copies as possible. Mm-hmm. And then once all those copies are purchased, they go onto eBay and they say, hey, this is sold out everywhere. You want to buy a copy from me? I got 10 of them, but it's going to be, and I know it's an $80 item, but it's going to be $300 a pop.
Yeah.
And these people are making tons of money. So
good for them, I say.
So one business has made a move to counter that, and listeners are gonna be surprised. People who know me are gonna be surprised because I'm about to compliment and say good job to Walmart. I hate Walmart so much, but Walmart in a story from, I think it's from August 31st. No, it's from today, or at least it was updated today, September 1st.
Yeah.
From Forbes, is about how Walmart is canceling some of the SNES Classic Edition pre-orders, which on its face sounds bad, because you think, oh, they don't have enough, so they're canceling for people who pre-ordered it, and that sounds horrible, because you don't want to do that. Those people worked really hard to pre-order those. Yes. But it turns out what they're doing
3 a.m.
it turns out what they're doing is they're only getting rid of customers who ordered multiple items. I think they have a statement here. Customers who recently pre-ordered the SNES Classic from Walmart.com will receive the console after it launches later this month. Because we want to make sure as many customers as possible have the chance to purchase this highly sought-after item, there is a 1 unit per customer limit on the SNES pre-orders. We did experience a temporary issue, which allowed more than 1 item per customer to be ordered. We emailed customers who ordered multiple items to let them know we plan to ship them 1 SNES Classic and that we've canceled the extra units they ordered. So the only weird thing about this statement, and his comparison to the way the article's written about it, is it seems that the way the statement's written, it's like, oh, we only ever wanted people to order 1 each, but then somehow there was a glitch and then they ordered more than 1 each, and then we decided to change it and fix it. But I think I don't think that's what actually happened. I think they decided to change the way they wanted this to work you know, after like a week in, which is also fine, but just don't lie about it, Walmart. Come on. So
there's been this continues the Walmart and Nintendo drama. We talked about it before too.
Oh yeah.
With the fact that they on their website, they opened it up for sales, and there's some conspiracies there that Walmart was trying to pressure Nintendo for more.
Yep. So obviously they were not able to pressure Nintendo for more because they don't have any more. But I think that this article goes on to talk about how it's really to discourage scalpers, and obviously part of the blame for all of this, as we discussed earlier, rests with Nintendo, but I think this is actually a decent way to combat that.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what the real motive though is, though. Like you said, good on Walmart, sure, but they can't just be doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. Like, they can't just be doing this to combat scalpers.
They don't have to do it out of the goodness of their hearts, because this is selling out either way.
Right, exactly.
So they're selling out all their units no matter what. So they've made the money. It only generates good publicity for them and doesn't lose them any money to do this.
Yeah, it must be a publicity thing.
That's what I assume that it is in order to generate some sort of goodwill, which is in short supply from Walmart most of the time.
Yeah, as they're drowning in the sea that Amazon has built, and Amazon's just pushing them down into the water.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're really run by nice people in the South.
Yeah. But that actually sort of, I can segue into the next story a little bit through that. One of the things that people are really upset about with Walmart, with a lot of other retailers, is that they've been bundling the SNES classics and also Nintendo Switches with a bunch of random stuff in order to be like, okay, well, we have limited copies, so if you want to buy one, we only have these bundle copies left, and we're not going to necessarily, because the SNES Classic is a limited edition thing, we're not necessarily going to get any more regular copies in maybe ever, or certainly not for a while. So if you want to buy it, you need to buy this bundle and all this other random extra junk that you didn't want, and you just have to spend more money at our store.
Yeah, GameStop has officially turned into a yard sale.
Yes. So in an article from August 31st from GameSpot, they talk about how GameStop and also ThinkGeek, because they're like sort of the same thing now, have been really bad culprits of this bundling stuff. And people have gone and talked to them about it and said, like, hey man, this kind of isn't cool when it's like a limited edition item.
Yeah.
And GameStop manages to just, whenever they're in trouble, they manage to just dig themselves deeper into the hole, because they have no concept of like what good PR is. Yeah. So their GameStop senior director of merchandising, Eric Bright, recently spoke about the controversial subject with Glixel. Which is really the article I should have pulled up, but whatever, journalism.
It's a Rolling Stone video game thing. Sorry, I didn't know what Glixel was, so I clicked on it.
He said, "We really tried to do a great job of pairing up items with things customers want to buy." Okay, so far reasonable.
Sure.
In the case of the Switch, we know the customers are going to want to buy or want a way to charge the Joy-Con, so we offer a charging device. And we know the Switch has a limited memory, and customers like to download games, so we'll add a memory stick. And then and that all sounds fine. And then you need a game itself, okay? Because what good is a piece of hardware without a game to play it on? We make it more convenient.
Yes.
Now it's that last line that really stuck in the craw of a lot of gamers, because they look at a lot of the bundles that have been offered, and they say, oh, more convenient, huh? Because there's bundles that range from $140 to $330 that consist of coming with things such as a Mega Man helmet, or a Zelda chess set, or perhaps a Tetris lamp.
Tetris lamp.
All of this random junk, and as you said earlier, it's like a yard sale. It's all this, all this stuff that like they didn't think they were gonna sell otherwise. It was just gonna sit on their shelf, and they were like, we got to move this merchandise. Let's make them buy it with this thing we know they're gonna buy. It's
so convenient.
Yeah, it's really convenient to be swindled out of money.
Yeah, this is sad. I can't really see this as anything else than, we have an opportunity. Here's the thing, is that like GameStop and Walmart and basically like brick and mortar stores, unless they're specialty stores, like specialty mom and pop places, are drowning. Like I said, they're going the way of the dinosaur eventually. Everyone's just going to buy things online eventually. Besides like groceries, maybe we'll probably always have a place to buy groceries.
Amazon just bought Trader Joe's, okay?
I know, and I have ordered food off of Amazon because I'm that guy. But I think this is like a cry of desperation. I can't see it as anything else. Like, but the thing is with these brick and mortar stores is they know the reason they're around, the reason why they still stay viable is that because people want to go try out the hardware and they buy the systems there. You know, I think that there's a large portion of people that don't just order a Switch off of Amazon or whatever, or well, actually, people will order wherever they can get it because no one can fucking get one.
Yeah.
But I think that most people want to go into a store, try it out first, and then actually buy the unit, you know, in the store. And I think that these places know that they still have people on the hook for that. So anytime that there is like a big selling piece of hardware, they're like, fuck, now it's our time to unload all of our other junk that we can't sell any other time. You know?
Yeah,
like,
no, I think that's definitely it. I think that there's been a lot of reports about how their hardware sales are up. I think it's 14% or something.
Yeah.
This year because of things like the Switch and the NES Classic and now the SNES Classic. And and I think they see this as their window of opportunity. They're thinking,
because you don't get a lot of them really.
No.
I mean, it's whenever the big three decide to put out a new system. It's pretty much the only time.
So they're trying to figure out how to milk as much money from customers as they possibly can while they have the chance, because they're not. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to, like a camel, they need to take on this water now so that they can make their way through the desert of that console slump until
the swindling nights lead to swindling days. I love the picture of the banana with the SNES.
It's pretty good. It's I do the caption is fantastic. Not an actual SNES classic bundle.
Yeah. Unless you're buying it off of Bob the Scamp. By the way, this is kind of off the subject, but kind of on the subject. What's your thoughts on the SNES versus SNES pronunciation?
Oh, I don't care.
No. I find it really weird when people say SNES, because there's like people that like grew up with that and like that's the way to pronounce it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's on the SNES, and I'm like, the what?
Do people say NES to refer to the NES?
Yeah, some people do.
See, that I don't think I've heard that.
No.
Also, because Earthbound is a game, and whenever you start saying NES, you're just gonna get confused. But but no, I think it's a little weird. But it's one of those things again where because that like isn't my generation of consoles, it was never like a choice I had to make.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, to me it was just, it's the Nintendo. Can we play the Nintendo?
Can we play that Nintendo one?
Yeah, because it was just that's all we had was a Super Nintendo. So, fuck did I know?
I played Sega Genesis, which there was no snappy.
Oh, well, you had the Master System and the Mega Drive, or the Genesis.
Yeah, those are all sweet names, by the way. Listen.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Master System, probably overselling itself a little bit. But...
well, yes. There was... Sega, yes. Sega was certainly prone to overselling itself.
Yeah. Had that blast processing, though.
Oof, that blast processing.
Yeah.
The 90s. Okay. Hey, you know what else? You know what came out in the 90s?
Yeah. Crash fucking Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
I'm going to take this one?
Yeah, do it.
The king is dead, long live the king, Lex. His holy bandicootness has been dethroned. We've been talking for a couple weeks, although we didn't have a show for 2 weeks, but before that, we talked several weeks about how the UK had lost its goddamn mind. They've gone, as they would say, bloody mad, and were buying up Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy like nobody's business. And it was on top of the UK sales charts for what seemed like years. But that has finally come to an end. And this is a story from GameSpot's from Oscar Deus. Great name. From August 29th. And it has as has been foretold, the Bandicoot is now at number 3, below Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and F1. I thought that was FIFA, but now that I look at it, it's not. It's F1 2017. It has been dethroned. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is, of course, the new DLC, big piece of DLC, apparently, that came out for Uncharted 4. And I guess people in the UK like Uncharted more than they like Crash Bandicoot.
I mean, they like Uncharted more than Crash Bandicoot after a solid month of playing nothing but Crash Bandicoot. Which
you can
is
only
fair,
have so much, I guess.
Older games are not as long, so they'd probably beat it by now if they were going to.
But there's 3 of them in there.
Well, that's
trilogy.
Oh yeah,
It's insane.
No, you know what? I'm gonna make a bold prediction that probably won't come true.
Bold prediction time.
Because we know that when the Insane trilogy first went up on the sales charts, it hit number 1, and then it got dropped down, I think, to number 2 or 3, and then it rebounded and went back to number 1. I'm going to make a bold and probably not true prediction that next week or in 2 weeks it will be back at number 1. It's gonna come back. They're not gonna be able to kill it. People are gonna play this Uncharted DLC and they're gonna be like, "That was pretty good. Yeah, let's go back to Crash."
Yeah, I got an itch for that Crash. I gotta get back to it. Yeah, maybe I'll take that bet.
I think that would be really amusing if it went back to number 1. And
yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna. I mean, we'll continue covering this crisis in UK
as it develops. Yes,
we will have men on the ground. I'd also like to say, good on Madden for getting on the UK list for their yearly entry.
Oh yeah, because they don't even know what football is. American football, anyway.
Apparently, it's becoming a big thing. Did you know? I don't know shit about football, but I did hear that they built a NFL stadium in London, and they're thinking about having an NFL team from London. So.
Well,
but they have a stadium there now, and our teams play there as part of the season. They go to London and do their thing.
You know, this is super not video game related, but it is kind of funny that in the last couple of years, all of these news stories have come out about how extremely damaging playing football is to the players. Yeah. And really bad for their health, and people are starting to question whether football is okay in America, and now it's starting to spread to other countries.
Yeah, well, they've been playing rugby over in England. I mean, they don't even have fucking helmets. They don't care.
They don't care.
Just pound a couple of Guinness and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Play a little Crash Bandicoot, won't you?
One of the things that I actually think is really interesting about this list is that Rainbow Six Siege makes it into the top 10 because that's not a new game, not at all.
Has a fervorous fan base though, because it's still I think last time NPD numbers were out, it was still one of the best selling year to date games because it came out. I think it just didn't make a big splash. Same thing with For Honor. That's the thing. It's so weird because Ubisoft games seem like they're doing horribly if you just listen to kind of the social bubble that you're in, but they sell ridiculously well. It's just that Ubisoft doesn't talk about it.
Okay, I agree with you about Rainbow Six Siege. I completely disagree with For Honor.
For Honor was on NPD's top year to date sales.
Yeah, no, because when it came out, it sold really well, and its player base has dropped off a cliff.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So that I think that's, if anything, that's the opposite story. I mean, it's true that they then don't talk about how great the game does, but I think in terms of Rainbow Six Siege is a classic sort of sleeper hit scenario, whereas I feel For Honor is more of a flash in the pan type of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. But they made their sales, so I'm sure they don't care too much.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have to pay to maintain their servers, but now that their servers have way less people on them, that actually should be easier because there's less strain.
Yeah. modem in a
related to that
closet.
real quick, I wanted to mention, I meant to pull up a story about this for the show, but I totally forgot. Lawbreakers, I think we talked about that when it came out. It had a pretty good launch, not amazing, but like solid. And ever since, it's just been dropping, like in terms of its concurrent players. And I think now it's around like 400 concurrent players when before it had, I want to say 2,500 maybe.
That's 400's low.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because people, I mean me, but I think other people as well, and maybe specifically Cliff Bleszinski, really wanted this sort of double A title that could compete and have a space in the market alongside things like Overwatch. And it seems as if that's not going to happen. That's not going to be possible.
Yeah, that sucks. I remember we did talk about this a while ago, and I made the prediction that it was going to be a game that was going to be kept alive by a very small but very fervent user base. But it seems like 400's low, even
a little
that.
too small and too fervent, perhaps.
Yeah, that blows. I hope that maybe there's some kind of kick, maybe like a sale or something where the game kind of gets a second boost, because I also would like to see that. But maybe the game's just too weird, too hardcore for people to pick up.
Maybe. Speaking of huge concurrent player numbers, the one game that does top the charts on Steam in terms of that is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and it turns out Rockstar has taken notice.
Yes. So this story from PC Gamer, from Andy Chalk 3 days ago. It's pretty short. Basically, GTA Online, which always does extremely well, as we've talked about before. GTA 5 is one of those games where I don't know who doesn't own it anymore, but it still sells the best every year. Their online mode, they get a bunch of updates and DLC, and apparently this new one called Motor Wars. The DLC is called Smuggler's Run. And there's a new game mode called Motor Wars in Smuggler's Run. And what they call a blending of the adrenaline rush of Drop Zone with the claustrophobic tension of a match of penned in, this brutal adversary mode is a deadly scavenger hunt where second place is not an option. And basically what it is up to 4 teams parachute into a periodically shrinking kill box strewn with lethal assortments of guns, explosives, and weaponized vehicles. Work together, find a vehicle, and fight opposing teams as the shrinking map to survive and win. Boy, oh boy, doesn't that sound like another game that's really popular, Lex.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're taking that battle royale mode and putting it into their game. Funny, because we've been talking about this, and I said, like, I predicted that by next E3 you'd definitely see either Battlefield or Call of Duty or some Ubisoft game with a battle royale mode, maybe even a fully fledged battle royale game. But it happens to be GTA beat them to the punch and got this one out pretty quick. Unsurprising, I'd say, seeing how huge PUBG is. And I've said it before, but PUBG now has to come out before other people come out with PUBG before PUBG comes out.
So yeah, no, that's the problem, because it's still an early access title. So the longer it stays in early access, the longer other companies have opportunities, especially AAA companies with the staff and the funding of a company like Rockstar, to put out competition for this game. And I get it. I get why Rockstar's doing it, but at the same time, it just feels mean. Especially because
Rockstar's never been known to be nice.
No, I guess not. They've been known to be creative and often cool, but never nice.
No. They play hard. They work hard.
Yeah. They because if this would be one thing, if maybe GTA Online was not a juggernaut of sales for them.
Yeah.
But we know it's making them tons of money, so introducing a game mode just like this just seems like them saying, oh, you were thinking of giving some of your money to a different game? No, you're going to give it all to us. We knew you were already giving us 90% of it, but just give us 100% of it.
Yeah, give me all the money, mama.
Yes. And I'm just like, dude, you make plenty of money. You're fine. You don't need to crush this other game.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing. Yeah, that's true, because it does. I wonder. It's crazy that this mode, like, because PUBG, like, all of the mechanics besides the core idea aren't great. Like, the driving sucks, the shooting's fine, the items are fine, the collecting stuff, but nothing's crazy about it. The only thing that is unique about it is the game mode. It's the battle royale thing with the shrinking map, and everyone kind of gets forced into this zone. It's so funny how just that mode, which is pretty simple, it's a pretty simple idea, has like lit the world on fire to the point where the best-selling video game of all time, or one of them, is like, fuck yeah, we're doing that. Like, that's crazy to me. It's so weird. It's so strange.
So that's what's happening with that. That is that.
Can PUBG beat other PUBG clones?
Oh, I mean, if Rockstar's making the clones, then probably not.
Probably not, no.
So it would be really interesting if in, like you were saying, if in like a year, PUBG has become more of a niche title and has fallen off popularity because someone else, a AAA company, has just done it better. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be the first time something like that's happened, in video games.
Switching gears to something completely different. Do you like the Olympics?
Oh, boy.
We've talked about this. This is sort of an update to a story we did in the past.
It's sort of an update just because what the guy said is interesting.
Yes. The original story was, just to give a quick little blurb about that, was that the Asian Games, which are happening in 2022, I think. Maybe it's 2020.
Like that.
Are gonna have esports, and meanwhile, the Olympic Games have sort of the viewership is starting to decline, especially with younger viewers, and a lot of people are looking at the fact that esports target younger viewers and bring them in large numbers. So the Olympic Committee was seriously considering adding esports to the Paris Games in 2024. And they haven't figured it out yet, but there is a little more on that in a story that we have from August 28th.
August 28th, from Sydney Lang, from the South China Morning Post.
Oof.
Which is where I always get my video game news from, Lex.
I mean, that's probably the most up-to-date place.
Probably, yeah. So it's interesting. The Sydney Lang, or the South China Morning Post, the SCMP, did a interview with IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee chairman, I believe, President Thomas Bach, about this. And what he had to say was interesting. The exclusive interview. You talked about they're trying to find new sports that will kind of bring in the millennials, but esports, despite their stellar rise, it would have to proceed with caution. And this is what Thomas Bach said: we want to promote non-discrimination, non-violence, and peace among people. This doesn't match with video games, which are about violence, explosions, and killing. And there we have to draw the line, he said. It gets better. I think
this statement is hilarious. I'm so glad that you brought.
Yeah, he says esports that mirror those played in real life, like soccer or basketball, could be considered for the Olympics, but those that involve gratuitous violence and bloodshed went against "quote unquote" Olympic values, Bach said. So if ever somebody is competing at playing virtual football or playing other sports virtually, this is of high interest. We hope that then these players are really delivering sports performance, which I don't understand that sentence. If fans at the end would even play the sports in the real world, we would be even more happy, he said. The multi-billion dollar video game industry has already succeeded in gaining inclusion at the 2022 Asian Games in Hangzhou.
I was right. It's 2022.
Yeah, you are. China has kind of seen this as something that they're cool with adding into their games, but apparently Thomas Bach is not. The one last couple things that he said, because this guy obviously, I don't know, like lives in the 1940s or something.
Yeah.
He says, these discussions are still going on. It will still take some time because this industry is now shaping itself, Bach said. It's a successful industry, but is not yet really established in an organizational way. One of his major concerns was the lack of the industry regulators to ensure video game players followed standardized rules, he said. You have to have someone who is guaranteeing that these athletes doing video game sports are not doped, that they are following technical rules, that they are respecting each other.
Okay.
It's amazing.
There's so much stuff to unpack from these quotes.
I know.
It's so okay. The beginning, one of the first lines he says, where he wants to promote non-discrimination, non-violence, and peace among people. I read that and I was like, "That's so nice," because that's what the Olympics are actually supposed to be about.
They're supposed to be about that.
Yeah. So when I hear the guy who's in charge of the Olympics saying that, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so pleasantly surprised."
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he goes on to say, "Oh, that just doesn't match with video games. They're all about violence, explosions, and killing."
So do you want to know something that's also funny? They mention this, I think, later on in the article, is that Thomas Bach, who is now the IOC president, used to be an Olympic athlete, and his sport was fencing. So for someone that plays a sport based on literally sword fighting, it's a little odd. It's an odd parallel, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like his old ass doesn't really want video games in the Olympics. So probably won't see them. Not in the big Olympics.
Well, no. He's very quick to say that esports that mirror those played in real life, like soccer or basketball, could be considered for the Olympics. So I think if we're going to see an esport in the Olympics, we're going to see FIFA.
Yeah.
And
but who the fuck wants to watch FIFA?
I mean, I don't, but there are plenty of Europeans who do.
They sure probably, but they probably want to watch the real soccer.
Sure.
Like they actually want to probably watch people actually playing it if they're watching the Olympics, you know?
Yeah. I think it's I think judging by these statements, FIFA has a lot to get excited about in terms of advertising, in the money that in the influx of money they're going to make in 2022 or 2024. This is, I think it's going in their favor. It's too bad that this guy's ideas of video games are so antiquated. Yeah, it like you said, he really does sound like somebody from the 40s, or I guess more specifically, he sounds like an American lawmaker from the early 90s, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally. And they're like, oh, well, these video games are going to turn us kids into murderers, you know? Like, very
as we know through many, many studies, that's just not true.
It is just not true, and it does not happen.
This has never happened. He also talks about how the video game industry is still just forming. And when I heard that, I was like, what are you even talking about?
Compared to what, the book industry?
Yeah. but then he talks about how it's not, oh shoot, now I can't remember where the quote is. Something about it's not organized yet.
Yeah.
In terms of sport. And I read that and I was like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense, because esports are and their leagues and everything are still fairly new.
Yes. That part of it totally is.
Yeah.
But I mean, is he not aware of like Valve and the International? Like, it's pretty well organized. Or look at fucking South Korea and their entire history with StarCraft. Like the Pro-Am League's pretty fucking crazy big, pretty well organized. Although they have problem with doping and cheating and all that stuff. But,
oh, that's the last thing that he talked about that I wanted to touch on that I thought was so funny.
The doping. These kids and their dope.
These kids are doping. They're doping to get better at video games. And I mean, you can do that. I mean, what is it? Like you take Adderall or something?
Yeah.
But
just like any other college freshman.
Yeah, but I'm not actually. I don't know if there's been studies done on how much that impacts your level of skill in the game.
Yeah.
Because we know, how much doping, like actual doping for actual sports, can impact how well a player does. But I'm not entirely convinced of how well video game players are impacted by these things like Adderall. So they shouldn't be doing it either way, but I'm not actually sure if it's that big a deal or as big a deal in comparison to physical sports.
Yeah. I mean, beyond like energy drinks, and like you said, like, I don't know, caffeine pills or something.
Yeah.
Like, really, how much better can you get? How much higher can your APM be? You know,
Yeah.
like probably not a lot.
And then he talks about how, like, everyone needs to follow the rules and respect each other. And I'm just like, okay, well, to be fair, gamers don't respect each other ever. So it would be nice if there was some decorum there. But
yeah, and also like fucking Olympic athletes don't either. Like there's drama in the Olympics goes as far back to like when it was held in Nazi Germany, for fuck's sake, you know, or like, you know, like the Russians were fucking. The Russians alone have a dramatic history with the Olympics forever, you know, like.
But I think that the thing that he said that stood out the most strangely to me is that he said everyone needs to be following the rules.
Yeah.
And I assume he means that in game. Because he says it in the same sentence as talking about doping. And right. I'm just like, whoa, wait. So when you're playing a physical sport, someone can cheat to gain an advantage because they consciously do not follow a rule. But when you're playing a video game, you literally can't do that because the programming doesn't allow you to.
But hacks, Lex. Hacks.
Yeah, so if someone hacked, obviously that would be bad. But I don't think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a bunch of no clipping at the Olympics for CS:GO.
So that statement struck me as very bizarre, and like he had no idea what he was talking about when he said that.
Yeah.
It's following the technical rules.
Yeah, I think he's like the last video game he probably saw was like Donkey Kong, like or something, you know. But for a fun thing though, did you know that the Tokyo Olympic Games in 2020, they've picked 5 new sports. Skateboarding, surfing, sports climbing, karate, and baseball/softball as a single entity.
I read that and I got very excited because I was like, I was thinking, the 90s are back, extreme skateboarding
in Tokyo.
So cool.
Is there good surfing in Japan? I guess there is. It's an island.
There probably is, because they're on the Pacific. They're an island. They probably have some great surfing there.
That's true. Yeah, I guess I've never thought of Japan as a surfing place. But you got sports climbing, so
sports climbing, whatever. I mean, sure,
whatever that means.
Karate kind of already assumed that was in there, but
I thought that was in there too.
Yeah.
In fact, like I'm pretty sure it was. Or maybe no, maybe it was judo. Maybe judo was it.
Yeah, I assumed there'd be some sort of martial arts already in there, but maybe there weren't.
I remember watching like the last Olympics, and they had like little symbols for all the events, and there was one guy in a gi doing like a kick. So
there must have been some martial arts in there.
Yeah.
What else could that be?
What else could it be?
Talking about people cheating in video games, though, reminds me of our next story. Destiny 2 is in a beta right now, and they are testing out some new code that gives people aim assist, and players are not happy about it.
No, they're not.
This is an article from August 31st from Video Games 24/7. And it is entitled Destiny 2's aim assist seems to be causing a rift between controller and keyboard and mouse users on PC. So people like to play shooters with a controller sometimes. Not
for some reason.
Yeah, not people who like to play hardcore or professionally or anything like that, but if people want to play casually, that's typically their weapon of choice.
There's some professional people out there that play with controllers.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I would not assume they would be willing to give up the accuracy to do that.
Yeah.
But the Destiny 2, which, as I said, still in beta, has decided to introduce code to give aim assist, and people are upset because they think that in PvP, aim assist offers too high of an advantage for people with controllers, which that complaint to me sounds like sour grapes, because if you're already using a keyboard and mouse, you should have more precision. But the actual...
Unless you're using like a trackball.
Yeah. The actual legitimate concern that a lot of people are bringing up is that there's apparently like third-party hardware that allows you to plug a keyboard and mouse into like a converter that makes it ape a controller.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so the idea will be like you plug that in that way, and then the software of the game says, oh, you're using a controller, let me give you aim assist, but then you still have all the precision of your mouse. So now you have your mouse precision and aim assist, and you're just tooling on everyone in PvP.
Yeah.
And people are upset about that because obviously that's an unfair advantage. And a lot of players are worried because they hear or they see a lot of Bungie doing stuff that would indicate that they want this to be an esport, that they want Destiny to be more of a competitive game.
Sure.
And allowing for this kind of cheating to take place is really going to hurt it in that regard.
This is what Thomas Bach was talking about. You got to play by the rules, Lex.
Exactly. Thomas Bach actually he knows. He really knows a lot about video games. I didn't give him enough credit.
Yeah. That in bankrupting a city every 4 years.
Oh yeah, and doping.
And doping.
But so people are upset about that. They're more upset than they should be, given the fact that, again, we're still in open beta, or not in open beta, but beta. So this is the time that the developer is supposed to test things out. That if they don't work, they can change them for the release of the game.
Hence the name beta.
Although Destiny 2 does come out. Destiny 2 comes out on September 6th. I thought that was longer away than that, but
they got 5 days then.
They got 5 days to fix that code. But one of the things that a couple people are bringing up, and that I think is the obvious and most reasonable solution to all of this, because Bungie has been saying, oh, we put aim assist in because we want this game to be accessible to new players, which if they're also trying to make it an esport game, sort of feels like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
But
they're Bungie. They can do that.
Yeah, they can do that. They can make multiple cakes.
Yeah, they can make all the cakes they want.
But the obvious solution to this seems like, okay, well, your game has a PvE mode and a PvP mode. So why don't you just have aim assist enabled only in PvE mode?
Yeah, and that or have the option only available in PvE.
And that way, when people decide that they want to check out the game and play and kill and shoot monsters, they can do that and have aim assist and feel like they're great at it. And then if they want to get into PvP, they get tooled on by everyone because they got used to playing with aim assist.
Right.
But then it's fair. So that seems like the obvious solution, and I'm really hoping that Bungie just does that.
Yeah.
But
there's got to be some. I swear, video game development is always like way more difficult than anybody can ever imagine. Like, even when you give people the benefit of the doubt, it's like there's probably something like well, if we do that, the whole game breaks. Like, there's got to be some like weird reason why that's not an option.
Maybe, but we'll see what happens by the 6th.
That reminds me of the whole thing like when Diablo 3 wanted to put in a PvP mode, and it's like, that's not going to work because you can't have these wildly outbalanced items on people in a PvP mode.
Yep.
So, maybe the answer is just have 2 different modes with 2 different rule sets.
Yeah, no, I think that's the way to do it because then they can have it work both ways. And I personally actually really love aim assist because I'm not because I don't like PvP play.
Because you're a dirty scrub.
Yeah, because I'm a horrible noob. Because I like PvE a lot better when it comes to shooters.
Sure.
And I like the arcadey feel of that.
Yeah.
So I just typically have a lot more fun with that because I don't want to... when I play a shooter, I just want to shoot things. I don't want to worry about getting good at it.
You don't want to trace backwards 7s as you're trying to get your Kalashnikov to hit the head in Counter-Strike, which I learned to do when I was 15.
So anyway, we're gonna skip over 2 short stories that we were gonna talk about.
Can I just have my translucent controllers?
Fine, you can have your translucent controller story. Talk about it quick.
Yeah, so nothing big. Sony is coming out with some crystal. They're calling them Crystal DualShock 4s, and they are a throwback to the old school PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 controllers that were clear, yay 90s and early 2000s. I had one, and when I saw these, I don't even own a PS4, and I was like, fuck yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah, no, because those controllers, as long as they were first party, it's not like they worked any worse. It was it's when you got the third party ones that were clear.
Yes.
Then
when you got the Mad Cats.
Yeah. Luckily, Mad Cats doesn't exist anymore.
Well, there you go. And these just look great, I think. I think they have a good look to them. Red, white, and blue. America's the best.
Mm-hmm. Or France.
Or France. Or Italy. No, Italy's not. Italy's
they
green.
Got green in there.
Yeah.
But so that's cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's just an obvious... I don't understand why they wouldn't do this, you know? It seems like an obvious way to make money because it's cool.
Totally.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's totally nostalgic. Mm-hmm. Like, remember when everything was see-through plastic?
Yeah. It was all garbage.
Yeah, I had my Game Boy was see-through.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I had a clear plastic N64 controller.
Oh, there's going to be skateboarding at the at the Olympics. There's going to be clear plastic controllers. Man, the 90s are coming back in a big way.
Yeah, it's because our generation is marching towards death, so we're trying to remember our childhood for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
As I open a beer.
Mm-hmm. So, last story I want to touch on in our last 5 minutes, which I totally don't have time to talk about, but
you rambled a bit.
Story from August 29th from Rock Paper Shotgun about Bethesda and their Creation Club. Their Creation Club launched. A lot of people, when they announced it in what is it?
Call for?
It was E3. They announced. E3. They announced it, and they said, "Oh, Creation Club! It's going to be so great. It's going to be." All of these people who make mods get to go and talk to the devs at Bethesda, or rather, they get to contact the devs at Bethesda. They get to say, "Hey, I want to make a mod. And I want it to be sold. Help me develop it." And then they would collaborate, and it would be joyous. And then they would come out with a fantastic mod that works great and that has cool ideas, fostering creativity, fantastic stuff. And a lot of people saw this and they thought, that seems weirdly like a sugared up version of the 2015 attempt on Steam of Bethesda to have Skyrim paid mods that crashed and burned because it was so poorly handled.
Yes.
Where they just released like their first batch. I think it was only up for like a week or something. Their first batch was a bunch of mods that some of which had already been out, and some of which were obviously mods with stolen assets from other mods, and they were charging money for them, and everyone just flipped a table, said they weren't going to do that, and it was immediately taken down because of the negative backlash. So now the Creation Club was their answer to do that again because they couldn't leave that market alone. They needed that money.
I guess.
All of their fantastic promises have already fallen by the wayside because we know what's on Creation Club and how Creation Club works.
Mm-hmm.
And what's on Creation Club is skins.
Skins!
Yep.
Is there horse armor?
There's horse armor. And
you remember that when that was the first piece of DLC ever?
Yeah. Yep. And there's there's skins for your Pip-Boy. And and there's a couple different outfits, and it's
that's it.
some of the most underwhelming stuff you could possibly have put up for your launch. Yeah. This is just, it's so bungled. I can't even... Okay, but wait, it gets worse, actually. I should mention this as well. At least when they did the stupid Skyrim paid mod thing, they said, okay, well, you still get to work with normal currency, obviously. Right. But with this, it doesn't work that way. With Creation Club has a new microtransaction currency known as credits. You're given 100 free, which is about $1 worth, when you start using it. And then you pay real money into it to gain credits, but you can only pay it in certain increments. Yeah. So there's like the $5 increment and the $15 increment and the $20 increment. I don't remember exactly, but it's something like that.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, so now the idea is this is how Bethesda gets your money, and it's like a bold-faced attempt for them to get your money. Is they put these skins up there, and you start with $1 worth, and the cheapest skins, which are the Pip-Boy skins, are 50 cents each for the two most basic ones. But a lot of them, I think one of the basic outfits is 100 credits, $1 worth, and then everything else is well in excess of that. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of them aren't on sale for the same round numbers that you have to put in to get credits. So what's going to inevitably happen is someone says, "Oh, I really want this this armor or this skin or something." Assuming people actually use this, which is up for the debate. But then they say, "Okay, well, it costs it costs like $15 worth of credits." But the only options for me putting credits money in is a $10 option and a $20 option. So I guess I'll put $20 in to get $20 worth of credits to buy this, and then I don't know what I'm going to spend the rest of those credits on, but it'll just sit there for a while, and Bethesda already has that money from me.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Yeah. It's too bad because this, honestly, I can see this originating from a place of good-heartedness, where they're like, we want modders to be able to make a little money probably off their stuff, you know?
That's something I want. Yeah, I want for modders. This is when the Skyrim paid mods thing happened. I was for it under the condition that they could curate it properly and make sure people weren't stealing code from other people, because I really wanted modders to be able to put their mods up in a marketplace for sale and be able to make some money.
Because that's a lot of, well, it depends on what you're modding, but like some modders it's basically like a secondary job for them.
Definitely.
They make money off of, you know? Because I am a person that I heavily mod a lot of my games. I enjoy it. I'm not a modder, but I do mod a lot.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it seems like modding, the whole modding community, the whole thing is like, it's like a delicate Wild West situation. Like, you can't really mess with it too much because it's based on it like the reason it works is because it's so wild and free, and it's like, this mod might break a game, don't know, try it out, like, you know, like the fact that it has no regulations is what makes most modding scenes the best, you know. And
okay. So my hopes for Creation Club when it first happened was that those people who were making the big mods, like the whole extra campaign for Skyrim, all these new environments and stuff like that, could sign up to work with Bethesda. And then Bethesda could say, okay, there are reasons why this is glitching out that you wouldn't necessarily be able to spot because you're not a professional game developer, but our team
and you didn't make the code.
Yeah, but our team can spot these and fix them, and let's put that up on Creation Club. And that's what I was really, really, really hoping that Creation Club would launch with stuff like that.
Yeah. I thought that was the idea.
And that seemed like the idea, and then that's so not what happened.
Yeah.
So
hopefully they can. I think they can right the ship, possibly.
Maybe. No. I'm going to say right now that
you're going to say no.
And it's because there's such a negative stigma going in because of how badly paid mods flopped in 2015, and the fact that people didn't want them to begin with, that you really needed to come out of the gate with something really good that proved you weren't going to screw this up. I think that's the only way people were going to go for this, and they failed to do that. So I don't think any amount of changes are going to fix this. I think people had preconceptions, and this launch reinforced them, and they have made up their mind about it, and they're done.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah, no, because I think there's great opportunity to be had here if Bethesda could just get their heads out of their butt and
poke their head out their vaults.
Yeah. It's also even more infuriating because whenever they refer to this stuff, they refuse to refer to them as paid mods. There's a quote here. "We've looked at many ways to do paid mods, and the problems outweigh the benefits. We've encountered many of these issues before, but there's a constant demand from our fans to add more official high-quality content to our games." Is there? I guess.
Maybe like in terms of DLC.
Yeah, and while we are able to create a lot of it, we think many in our community have the talent to work directly with us to create some amazing new things. So what they were saying is, we've looked into doing paid mods, but the problems outweigh the benefits, so we decided not to do that. So instead we did this. And I'm like, yeah, but what you did was paid mods.
You made paid mods.
That's the other thing that just infuriates people, is just call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a good idea somewhere in a boardroom several years ago, and this is the unfortunate baby of that idea.
Yep. So, I mean, I guess in a we will wait and see, because this did, I think this might have just launched like today or something, because a lot of these articles on it are people seeing the previews of it, but it launches in September. It's September 1st, so I think it actually launched today. But so maybe it could change.
Hey, but Bethesda comes around sometimes. Their first DLC was Horse Armor, and now they make pretty decent story DLC. So you never know.
Okay, well, let's talk about games that have just come out and are about to come out. You've reached the end of the show, or the last part of the show.
End of our broadcast show day.
Yes. So, let's see what came out recently.
I know the only one that matters.
Oh. Well, would you like to...
And I don't even know if it's going to be on here. It's the XCOM expansion, War of the Chosen.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty good.
XCOM 2, War of the Chosen DLC came out. Is that on here? I don't think it is.
What date did it come out? When did it
2 days ago?
Oh, 29th? Yeah, no, it's totally not on here.
Yeah, so fuck them. It's
Thanks,
not on here.
Wikipedia. Jeez.
Yeah, it is DLC for a kind of not crazy popular game. But XCOM 2, if you've never played it, is fucking fantastic. And this, if you're going to play, if you've been ever interested in XCOM 2, don't play it without this DLC. It was kind of controversial because it's like $40 DLC. Pretty pricey, but I would say worth it. It basically fundamentally changes the entire way the game plays, from top to bottom. Like there's so much new shit. Like it's not just like, ooh, here's a chunk of story stuff. It's like, no, you play the game completely differently, and there's entire different game modes that you play during it. You know, it pretty much fundamentally changes the game.
Wow.
So I'm probably going to play it as soon as we're done this podcast, because that's mostly what I've been doing.
Let's see, we've got on the 29th we had the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So they are talking about XCOM. See, they are talking about XCOM. Yeah. That came
out. The game's good too. Apparently the Mario Rabbids thing is...
I mean, I'd hope so, because all they did was emulate the system of a good game. So if they made it bad, I would be like really disappointed.
Yeah. Abduction is for PS4. I didn't know that was happening.
Let's see. Sonic Mania came out on the 29th. It came out on Windows, but before that, it came out on other stuff. Man, I was sad. The only thing I was sad about not doing a show for a couple weeks is I didn't get to talk about Sonic Mania right when it came out, because that was a surprise, a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, did you play it?
I didn't play it, but I read a lot of reviews of it. I watched a lot of gameplay of it, and I was just like...
I watched gameplay of it, and I'm like, hey, it's Sonic. I don't like it, because I don't like Sonic.
Spoken by someone who, as we stated earlier, didn't own a Sega Genesis.
I did own a Sega Genesis. I never said that I didn't own one. I had one when I was a kid. I don't think it was actually... I think it was like borrowed or something, but I had one for some time. There's some good Sega games. Don't get me wrong. Fuck. Pillars of Eternity's coming to the consoles? Wow.
Yeah, Pillars of Eternity. Good for that.
Buy that. That's like the best game of the last couple of years. Or I should say the best RPG of the last couple of years.
I think it's pretty good. I liked... I'm more of a Divinity Original Sin person. But I also like Pillars of Eternity. I like the combat system in Divinity a little better.
Over Thanksgiving last year, Pete and I both didn't do any family stuff. Pete, our friend Peter Brown. And we both did the co-op Divinity stuff and just like day drank whiskey and played that all day.
Nice.
It was pretty fun.
So, what else did we...
And Windjammers!
Windjammers!
Yeah.
Ark Survival Evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Finally out.
It's out. Just when you had forgotten about it completely, it came out.
We also got Warriors All-Stars, which is the worst name I've ever heard in my life.
On the 31st, we had Life is Strange Before the Storm, Episode 1. A lot of people were very excited about that.
I have not played it yet, but I am a Life is Strange fan.
Yeah. We had Resident Evil Revelations, which is like a 3DS port or something. I don't know. I don't know too much about that. On the 5th, we have Knack 2.
Knack 2.
For some reason, that game is getting a sequel.
Yep. Mark Cerny. He demands that Knack 2 be made.
We have Lego Worlds, which is Minecraft with Legos.
because why not?
Yeah, because why not? And
To our Momo.
yeah, let's not. Let's
truth.
It's coming out on the Vita, so
Yeah.
you know it's good.
And PS4.
And PS4.
But with every game's mobile with a PS Vita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we have Destiny 2 coming out on the 6th for the PS4 and the Xbone.
I'm sure that Peter Dinklage is very excited for that.
He's not involved in that game at all. But you know who is involved in that game very heavily is oh shoot, I forget his name. The guy from Firefly. Why am I blanking on his name?
Me too. The main guy. The
the main character. Why can't I remember his name? He's great.
I can't either.
He was also in the hit TV crime drama Castle.
Yeah. I also think he just kind of makes his money just by being at conventions nowadays. Mm-hmm. Nathan Fillion.
That's his name. I can't believe I blanked on that. But he's a big part of the promotion of Destiny 2 because he's a major character in it. And,
oh, really? What about
he's a robot man, a funny wisecracking robot man.
Oh, kind of like Peter Dinklage was in the first one.
Not like that at all. No.
Hey, Lex, that wizard came from the moon.
From the moon. That was not an intentional comedy role.
What about the Beatles? Are the Beatles involved this time?
Are the Beatles involved this time? Oh, yeah, because McCartney wrote that song. No, they don't seem to be. They don't.
Yeah. What a bit like a fucking dick wagging contest fucking Bungie was playing on everyone. They're like, we got fucking Peter Dinklage, we got the Beatles, or not the Beatles, but one of the Beatles to write our song. It's like, yeah, we know you have money. It's fine. Like,
oh my god, yeah, no, and it was funny because then when that game came out, a lot of the big criticism was, it seems like you spent more time on your advertising than you spent on refining your gameplay. Could you do that?
Yeah. I blame Activision mostly for that. It was probably mostly them.
Yeah, probably.
You gotta get the Peter Dinklage in there. You gotta get the Beatles still around. Is John Lennon dead?
Get him in one of them.
Yeah.
With that, we are completely out of time. So thank you for listening to Don't Copy That Floppy. I have been one of your hosts, Lex.
And I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Boudreau, from the internet.
From the internet. That is the only place he exists. He does not actually exist in real life.
I am a robot.
Yep. Chris, where can people find some of your work?
You can find me and all of my creative things at HereWeGomez8 on Twitter. That's HereWeGomez8 on Twitter. I'm a musician. I'm a dungeon master. I'm sometimes a video game writer. I do a lot of creative things and don't get paid for pretty much any of them. But you can find me at HereWeGomez8 on Twitter.
You can find Don't Copy That Floppy on Twitter at DCTF Podcast. You can also search that in a lot of different social media and find us, or search Don't Copy That Floppy Podcast. We actually do get paid for doing this podcast from viewers like you because we have a Patreon. So if you want to check out our Patreon and support the show, you can head over there and get access to cool stuff. And help us do more stuff and expand the show. Always nice. And I think that's just about it. So
play XCOM 2.
And yeah. So until next time, Chris, what do people have to remember?
Yeah, don't copy that floppy. Get the Beatles in here.